shame is so communal. We carry it personally, but it has so much to do with how we're relating to communal, to the group. So de-shaming as a principle of creating brave spaces, places we can take the risk of vulnerability, is essential. One big piece is this idea that our bodies are nature, which is essential to me. It's an ecosomatic viewpoint. So nature, ecology is the study of how living systems interact, how living beings interact. And so this sense that we are systems, we are living systems. We're made up of living systems, our organs, our cells, the energy that runs through us. There's so many different systems in the way we can look at ourselves. And then we participate in living systems. Right now, you and I are participating in a system of this online world. And so we're made up of living systems, and we are living systems, and we're participating in living systems. There's all these different layers of scale. And so the personal exists. There is this body as a system, and this body is part of the communal. And also, I'm here in the woods, right? It's obvious that there's more going on than just me as a life form. We're all in relationship. This is so true of our social way of being, not just our physical way of being. And shame is very much an aspect of how the personal and the communal are in resonance. So if I, say, steal something from someone, and that's out of integrity with the whole, with what's, maybe that takes care of my personal need in some way, but it's out of integrity with the whole of community, it's hurt someone else, then I'm likely to face some shame about that. And that shame is very functional there. So another piece here is we don't want to shame in de-shaming, right? Shame serves a purpose. It serves a purpose in the ecosystem of human behavior. It is part of the natural element of what's at work. We are nature. Another aspect here is witnessing, that shame comes up as an aspect of how we view or witness each other. And so witnessing is a fundamental piece in how we engage with others and how we engage with the communal, and what it is to create a place we can be vulnerable, that we can take that risk. We are always witnessing each other. We're always being witnessed. And so we can practice that in specific ways and choose witnessing. And we can choose it as a way to grow. Now, in order to grow with witnessing, then, there's this piece of removing the judgment. But we can't take it away because it's also part of the natural system. Judgment happens. It's part of what it is to be human, is to judge. It's part of how we're made. So again, in de-shaming, we don't want to shame the shame. And so let's say right now you're judging me for something that I'm doing, That's natural. We wouldn't want to shame you for that. We want to acknowledge that there's something there. Now, to dive under it, to look under the hood, is where de-shaming happens. And so looking under the hood of judgment, there's the question of well, how do I make this decision for me right now? What do I need to do for me? And then where's the judgment in relationship to someone else? Do I just need to make a particular decision for me? Someone called that discernment. And can I thereby let go of universalizing it into judgment? So when we're witnessing, we're pretty much universally put right up in contact with our own judgment. And when we're being witnessed, we also are put up in, we're in relationship to others' judgment, and very deeply in relationship to my own judgment. You witnessing me here, I'm put in a relationship to my own judgment of what do I think you're thinking about me, right? And that's called self-consciousness, which is so interesting because we're always wanting to be more self-aware, but not too self-conscious. So here's another aspect of de-shaming. So these are kind of the key aspects as I see it. The body is nature. Witnessing is a potent aspect of healing community and of de-shaming. And we're always going to come up in contact with this judgment piece, and it's what do we do with it? And so to de-shame, then we're just pulling back the layers on that. And we get to ask, is this shame that I may feel or may wish to project on someone else, shame on you for this or that, is that really, what function is it serving? That's actually my favorite place to go, is to ask what's right about it so that we might accomplish that in a way that has less universalizing judgment. Because universalizing judgment shuts down so many of pieces of the system. Shame shuts us down. We get stuck in cycles like with addiction. Shame will often keep someone shut down so that they don't want to look at the addiction and make a change. It's too hard to look at. Things that are too hard to look at tend not to change. We don't want to bring them into consciousness. It's too painful. In de-shaming, every piece that we might be ashamed of, every piece that comes up where it's like, oh, that's not in integrity, is still serving in some way. It's a part of the whole of a living system that is me and that is the communal, that is you. We are all part of the communal. We are all part of the human ecosystem and the larger ecosystem. So I can take responsibility, oh yeah, I did that thing, and work to come more into integrity and ask, what caused me to do it? Not as a blame thing, but as what function was it serving? And how else could that function perhaps be served? And if that function is missing somewhere in the communal layer, it can help to see that. Because personally, there are times that, say, someone needs to steal to survive. So then looking at the larger system of how that's arising becomes important. I think this is huge lately in all the cultures of cancellation. That oftentimes people being canceled, we're like pushing all this shame there and trying to show up in some kind of integrity that doesn't actually serve the larger integrity when someone's being shamed. It's actually taking away, it's creating even more polarization versus recognizing where in the systems we may feel kind of powerless, right? Like shaming can sometimes give us a feeling of power that sometimes we don't have. So it's like, oh, sitting with that's painful, difficult. Like, oh, I'm not empowered there. Where can I be empowered? In this relationship, maybe I can find that power rather than canceling someone else. That's shaming when we cancel someone else. So to summarize, de-shaming, to pull the cover off of the shame and not shame the shame, like just sit with the shame, but look at what's being served by the shame, what's right about it, in essence, to understand that by looking at other ways of going there, we may be able to actually remove the process of shaming or ease the feeling of shame so that we can mobilize again, because shame is very immobilizing. Underlying that, we are nature, our bodies are nature, we're ecological, we're a natural system. There's judgment, and we can't make the judgment go away, but we can hold it lightly, recognize it may not be the whole truth, and witnessing. To witness, be witnessed.